Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John Supporters for the 8th of November. Well, you can just see this continuation move straight up. No real strain on the market here at all. We've got a little bit of fading from the magenta, but we look at that shakeout, 28. This was like we had the last run, but it gets to an extreme. We've already seen the last 3 days a bit on positive extremes. That means, well, right now we're looking at a retrace that will come back down to the 4,600 range. So that's pretty significant. Keep in mind when that happens. We don't have the signaling for that yet. NASDAQ, likewise, last 3 days, positive extremes. We're still in a second rise of our shakeout gold, which is just a continuation move of that. And as it gets a little further away from the NBI yellow, ABM yellow right here, we'll get a little bit of fill back into there. That will eventually then produce that turnaround signal for a little bit softer action. Of course, the euro made new low. We expect that to continue as the dollar strength is counterintuitive to what a lot of people think. But again, it is still the reserve currency despite tendencies for wanting to overspend, so to speak. Oil, from a USO standpoint here, continuing to be elevated. We had some weakness within this setup, but turnaround magenta here right after that brief supply excess, because at the end of the day, as long as the US continues to go for reduced energy emissions and reducing pipeline capacities in that, there's really no reason why oil isn't going to climb unless the economy takes a nosedive really fast. The upward pressure in bonds probably going to start fading soon, and when that happens, we'll have a clear indication that the market has turned on favorable interest rates and is deciding for the Fed. But at this particular point, the Fed still has the power to adjust these things and will for some time. Like I was talking about before, though, what's interesting is that Bitcoin becomes an interesting way for the pull of dollar reserves out of flow. When money gets tied up in cryptocurrencies, NFTs, things like that, actually helps reduce money supply issues, which is, interestingly enough, net positive for the dollar. So while some people think that the dollar should be imploding, cryptocurrencies have actually led to the dollar strength, ironically. They may not realize it. But as we've pointed out too, as much as they talk about the huge jump in Bitcoin and that, the majority of the money has been made to the downside on the futures side of these setups, far more than the long side. We've pointed that out repeatedly. If we take a look at the performance report, roughly, for this is the Opus 2, but nearly 1.7 mil. This is just for this year, mind you. So better than 3 to 1 on the short side profitability. So that becomes distinctly clear when you look at it from that standpoint. The MPI Opus T2 here took the long from that setup and then went into the short configuration. It hasn't done much. We started off with it where the white NBI was moving above magenta and that, but immediately reversed from there. It's going to have to turn back up again in order for that to continue. We'll see what happens right here. This will be critical. DOC move back up of cyan and a rejection of green lower would indicate that we'll dip below. We've got the positive extreme fill at 4674, which already has taken place in that one element, and then you have all the way back over here for this latest move, which takes you back to around 4630 range. So it should be higher, it should be right up in there for that one right there. Just so that you keep that in mind. Of course, there's going to be some interesting play around 50% on that, and we'll see if 0% rises. But where that's sitting currently, intraday, we can see 5K. We started off really strong with the up. Got a brief little breakdown right there, but it kind of turned around and held up until just the secondary move. That still wasn't enough. It kind of traded flat. And then it did it again, and it was that second move that started the cascade lower, and that continued all the way until we got mid-part way into the end of the day, and it just pretty much went flat, straight across. There really wasn't a whole lot to take advantage of. Though we ended with weakness, so we would expect that should have some impact. But you do have magenta rising over yellow, even with the white rising, so just could be some bouncing back and forth until that solidifies, but we'll keep an eye on it. As always, though, I will keep updating you and put up additional updates on the paint bars as well as strategies. Trade well. We'll talk to you later.